For those that don't know you, Puck, how would you describe your channel, your community, and your content?
My content is definitely on par with, with Lego brand media, where we're content creating about Lego. And I like to stick to Lego. Occasionally, I will do a couple months where I'll have a gaming stream that will be, once a week where I will game instead of build Lego. I'm very mood driven. If I'm having a month where I'm not going as strong, I will add in a gaming session, and that's just sometimes what I need for my mental health. So I'm working on that. That's something that I'm working on, adding back in some gaming. We'll probably end up doing a lot of Lego games this year, maybe some Pokemon, because I just started playing Violet and Scarlet. I'm a big Pokemon fan, as you can see by my hat. I am definitely a PG-13 most of the time. Beyond that, I do let people know, like, hey, this may not be a PG-13 stream. There may be more cursing, but it typically, from when I go back and review my VODs and everything that I've done on stream, it's usually a PG-13 level where it's not anything over the top, because I do want to keep it included for everybody. It is that would be how I would describe myself.
You also have a podcast now too, yeah?
I do. So Brick City Radio, got started about a year ago. It was an idea that I had. I was like, I want to have content that is not just on Twitch, but off of Twitch, and is just focused on the Lego content. So it is just Lego content, typically. So Star Wars, this last episode about Star Wars, we did cover both Lego and Lego Star Wars and Star Wars in general. But you can't not talk about Star Wars while you're talking about Star Wars Lego. It's impossible to do. So we kind of just went a broad subject with it. About a year and a half ago, when we were starting it out, we ran into some bumps and some stuff that didn't work out, and the whole getting started process took a little bit. But now me and Becca Bubbles are doing. We're trying to get at least one out a month, but we're now trying to get at least 2 or 3 recorded a month, just so we have continuing content going. And that can be difficult because there are only so many Twitch streamers and Lego Twitch streamers that want to come on. And it's not everybody wants to. So we've been trying to get people in chat that are chatters and not necessarily streamers to message us and to let us know, hey, I'm a Lego builder. I don't Twitch stream, but I would like to talk about Lego on a podcast or some kind of content. And that's what I really would like, is getting more community members in and saying, hey, I want to talk about Lego on your podcast, and let people know.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I like that idea. I think that's a great way to go, because you said it. There's only so many Lego creators, like content creators.
Yeah.
And it's always tough wrangling them. And I'll tell you now, as someone who has started, like, this show was mostly Lego creators, and then of course has kind of expanded to most types of streamers. It's always hard to just get them on this show, because people are hard to just in general to get, but I feel like creators are even tougher because they're usually doing their own thing. They've got their own streams. They're pretty busy people in general. So I think it's a good move to invite community members too.
Yeah, and it's not even just the Twitch streamers. Like, I've reached out to other content creators outside of Twitch. A lot of the responses that I get are, oh, hey, I'm busy with my own thing. I don't have time. Some people just flat out tell me that, hey, I don't appreciate you contacting me for your content.
Wow.
Which for me, I actually take that hard, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm trying to create content, you're creating content. Why don't we meet in the middle, promote each other, and get a forward promotion? But a lot of times, and it's sad, is they are solely focused on themselves, and they don't want to promote anybody else but themselves.
That's unfortunate.
And
I've ran into that as well, and it's unfortunate because honestly, when you collaborate with another creator, generally both people benefit from it.
yes,
And I mean, regardless of size, both people benefit from it. And I think what's great about collaborating in general is you have an opportunity to get to know other creators, kind of get to learn more about them. I mean, that's the whole point of this specific show. But even on a base level, getting to know other creators, I think just is so impactful. I've learned so much from so many other creators, whether it's just philosophical in nature, how they approach creation and creativity,
yes,
or practical knowledge about what it is we do, whether it's stream based, podcast based, or what have you. I feel like everyone involved gets something out of it beyond the surface level benefits
yes,
that you would expect. So
yes, exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And I'm a big supporter of promoting people, especially people that are willing to take the time to spend time in my stream, or support me on Instagram. I'm a Lego photographer, so people just viewing my stuff and wanting to see my photographs, that's a big boost for me. The opportunity that I get for doing some part-time at the job that I work at, she's a huge supporter, Crystal's Brick Shop.
mhm.
She is big for the community. She supports me, but she also supports you guys as well. So like she promotes for us, and then I give back and I support her as well, and I do some promoting for the store at the same time.
Mhm.
So it's something that I really love to do, is give back to everybody that I can give back to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you and I share a lot of the same viewpoints and philosophy around working with other creators, as well as just kind of helping each other out. I think that's I honestly feel like that's the best way to operate within a community.
I agree.
Regardless, yeah,
I agree.
regardless of the platform, but like the fact that there's so many wonderful other creators out there that you can get to know. It's crazy, right? There's like millions and millions of Twitch streamers alone, not to
Yes.
mention Instagram creators, YouTube creators, etc. There's so many out there. And yeah, I do wish you the best of luck in collaborative efforts. It's
Thank you.
definitely freaking tough though. I'll tell you,
It is. It
I'll
is.
back you up on that. It's really tough getting people to come onto your show, especially when you're newer, right? You're trying to
Yes.
establish an audience as well as as
And
content.
sometimes, I hate saying it, but it's a very true fact. Sometimes monetary is involved, and you think to yourself, you're like, this wouldn't be a thing, but it is. I just want to point that out to people, that sometimes it is a thing that drives people, because it is. And sometimes to get somebody onto a show, some kind of value is given, and that's just the way it works sometimes. And sometimes it's a good thing. Like sometimes, depending on who the person is and the time they're able to give, it is well worth that. But it would be nice if it didn't have to be that way sometimes.
Right.
But everybody knows that even, guests on TV and guests on other podcasts and guests on movies and all that kind of stuff, they're all getting paid somehow, some way. And I think that's the hardest part of content creation is learning certain things are done certain ways sometimes. It is just sometimes how that goes. The way of the world sometimes is time equals money, and sometimes money equals time. I learned that by having a wonderful conversation with my dad, who is very supportive. My dad is an entrepreneur, like big time entrepreneur. He supports it, and he supports that I'm doing it and spending the time doing it. So he, is very supportive, and he has given me like his vocal support. He's told me, hey, this is great that you're doing this. This is great that you're trying to make yourself and not relying on another employer necessarily. So you're making yourself for yourself. But he did say that a lot of times you do have to put in the money to make the money, and sometimes to get people to come do a show with you, sometimes you also have to provide monetary support.
We'll discuss my rate later for when you have me. I'm just kidding. That's not true. It's nice talking about this stuff with other podcasters, because it's certainly something I've ran into. It's been a bit of a challenge for me as well. Getting a block of a creator's time is difficult. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing your podcast grow. You host that with Becca Bubbles, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. That was very difficult, by the way. That took me 8 months. 8 months to get her to say yes to that.
Really?
And we've been friends. We've been friends now, I think, about 2 years. And she was very reluctant because she's very shy.
Yeah.
I've not got her to record video yet. She does show her face for the podcast, which is great because she is meeting people and she's getting more comfortable. But I'm trying to get her to come on to stream with me and to show her face so we can talk about, our content live, kind of like this, but just me and her. So we, she gets a feel for the camera kind of view. That hasn't happened yet. We're getting there.
Yeah, you're getting there. Yeah, I mean, that's understandable, right? It's certainly, especially if you're not someone who's used to doing this sort of thing, yes. Getting on camera and just putting yourself out there. That's one of the hardest things about creating content is you are putting yourself out there for people to see, potentially judge, which is not awesome, but that's kind of, it comes with the territory anytime you make something and you create something. And streaming, podcasting, like this whole content creation thing, it becomes like it's one of those rawest forms of putting yourself out there, because you are literally talking to a camera.
I'm literally right here.
You're right there. People can.
I'm speaking to you. Well, actually, if you were to look at my camera, you'd actually be speaking to Unikitty, who sits on top of my camera. Well, I love it. So I'm on the spectrum, and most of my viewers know this. I have a hard time making eye contact with people. It is a very difficult thing for me, and I don't know if you know many people on the spectrum. But eye contact is not a thing because it is it's a trust thing. Mm-hmm. It takes a long time. And so putting Unikitty up there, I know that, hey, Unikitty, I'm talking to you and not really the camera, and we're just having a good time.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it. Now my content on Instagram is a different thing. I produce very different content for Instagram than I do on Twitch. Mm-hmm. And I've tried to explain that to some people because they're like, why don't you do any reels with you in it? Like, why aren't you in them? And my response usually is, if you want to see me, you can come see me on Twitch. I am live on there. the content for Instagram is mostly for my photography, my city updates, just little tidbits of what I do with Lego. It's not supposed to necessarily be me doing silly things,
Right.
which isn't a bad thing, because I applaud the wonderful content creators that are on Instagram that do silly things. That's not me. I do silly things on Twitch. So if you wanna see me do silly things like jumping jacks, or if you wanna come see my puppet friends, you can come see them here live.
Yeah.
Just not on Instagram.
Thank you for sharing that, by the way. I know that's I've heard you talk about that before, and thank you for opening up about that here on this show. I certainly, I think it's cool that you share that, because I think that it allows everyone who doesn't know you as well, or who isn't, say, a regular in your community, to kind of gain that understanding. And I have people in my life who are on the spectrum. I've worked with people very closely, and it's always trying to understand like how to help people understand what that's like for you, right? And it's very cool.
And it's very different for each person. So the way that I react to you, or Prophet DNA would be a good example, because he and Miss Prophet were big supporters in the beginning. I was alone in my room late at night, because I'm a night person typically. I'm not usually in bed before 2 a.m. or later, and I was watching TV while I was live streaming with headphones in, because I was alone. I'm good at talking, but I'm not good at not having any sound. Sound is a big thing for me, where I usually have the TV or music or Twitch always going. My TV almost never gets any downtime, guys. Like it never almost goes off. There's either TV, Twitch, or music playing. It is a constant, because quiet for me is a problem. The way that my autism manifests is through anxiety and stress, and the silence makes me go into my head too much, and I start losing where I'm going, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it was very helpful for you to share that, because I think some people in the community would need to hear, like, that is part of your process. That is part of what it takes for you to be able to create while you're doing your thing here on Twitch.
Yes.
What was it like for you when you first started? You were alone. You were kind of figuring it out. What was it like those first several streams, kind of getting into this whole thing?
Very difficult. Very difficult. Just to hit the start button was very, very difficult. Mainly for me, because in the very beginning, there usually wasn't anybody. Like, and I'm not even talking like the first couple streams. I'm talking like the first couple months probably of streaming. It was very lonely, very me just talking and building. And I'm not a slow builder, guys, by myself. Like when I'm by myself, and if I'm just talking and there's no chat, here's actually a good example. I'll hold it up so you guys can see. So this is 6 hours, right? So we almost completed Yoda. So the main part of my stream on Tuesday was pretty active. So it was pretty slow. Like we got very little done. But then the last hour and a half, when chat kind of slowed down, support was still there, but chat started to slow. My building process speeds. That's because I'm not super slow, guys. It depends on what I'm building. So a modular, or if I'm mocking the modulars, take a lot of time for me because I'm usually very detail oriented, very precise, looking at what can I change to make the modular better than what Lego did. But when it comes to a build like the Yoda that I just showed, it's a diorama. I could have sat here. It's like 1,700 pieces. It's still a pretty big build.
Yeah.
But if I was alone, I could have had that done in like 2.5 hours. Like that's all, folks. It's pretty quick sometimes. The Jazz Club, I was the first modular that I built alone. If I had not been missing pieces, it would have been done in 9 hours. Like
Wow.
it would have been done. Things where people talk about, oh well, Titanic is on my scope. If I were to build that by myself, literally, it would be a thing where I would just sit there and build the whole thing in a sitting, and I would bring food and snacks, and have them sitting, and have my water pack, and I would be drinking and building, and it would, it'd be done. It'd be done by the next day.
Yeah.
It'd be all over.
Yeah.
So the very beginning, I went through a lot of sets, and big sets. I'm looking at the treehouse we built was one of my early builds. We had that done in 2 streams. Like it was done.
It was quick.
Now nowadays, a treehouse or a modular is gonna take me a month, maybe 2, because we are chatting about things, we are conversating, we are doing things. It's not just me sitting anymore and talking to myself. So that was me in the early days. It was just a lot of me building and talking about everything that my brain could come up with.
What brought you to Twitch to begin with?
So I've had a Twitch account since Twitch started, since the very beginning. Was it used? No. I actually I had no idea there were other creators other than gamers on Twitch for the longest time. So the funny story that happened was one day I got home from a photo shoot, and I had been doing a lot of photography for models and things like that. I was not enjoying it as much as I thought I was going to. My problem was a lot of the models didn't want to pay, or they wanted to do everything what we call TFP, which is time for pay, which is I'm giving them time, they're giving me time, and that's the payment that we are both giving each other. When you're in the photography world, that is good for a little bit, but then when you really start doing it for 4 or 5 years and people still aren't wanting to give the photographer monetary compensation, it becomes problematic. And dealing with models when you have to hire them and work with them, if they're not on time, you miss a lighting schedule. So if I say 5 o'clock, I'm not meaning 5:30, 6 o'clock, because then we've missed the light that I've scouted out, and it had become a thing where I was not enjoying it. So after a long shoot, I had just done a 9-hour shoot. We had gone into the night. I was like, well, let's try something new. I love Lego, so why not go on to Twitch and do Lego? I don't think there's many people doing it. I didn't know that there was a community. I don't know if Jang had fully come on to Twitch yet. I don't think so. I think it was his transitioning period, because I followed him on YouTube for years. I had even YouTube streamed myself before. That did not go so well. So I was like, okay, we're going to build Lego on Twitch. Let's do this. Nice. So I borrowed my husband's computer and his webcam, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to stream. Like, this is what I'm going to go do, because this sounds like something I would really like, because I'm not in front of live people. I'm in my room. You chat are live, but I don't actually have to touch you or anything like that. So that's how I got started. Wow. I did not watch much Twitch before that. Now it doesn't ever shut up. So it is almost an indefinite thing.
Yeah.
Unless my computer is turned off for the night, which some nights, guys, I do. I go sit in front of my TV. I might put somebody on my iPad, and that will be the way that it will go. And either I've got them in one bud or something like that. But typically, my computer is a continuous stream cycle. And usually, the funny part about it is usually if my content is going and it's Lego streams, I always end up to the same person in the morning. It's usually the local brick shop in the morning. When I wake up in the morning, he's on my screen, and that just became a habit as well. The local brick shop is usually my morning go-to stream. I usually end up there either way. Like either my computer has ended up there and I'm getting up in the morning and I'm having breakfast and I notice that my computer is already there and I just go sit down.
That's wonderful. And I think, a lot of us have the same Twitch routine, or I find myself in there after I get through some of my morning meetings. I pop open Twitch and I know locals on, so I end up going there as well.
And that is how I've met a lot of community members is when I started streaming, and going back to when I started, I met Scotty Rotten and Pekka Bubbles and Prophet DNA and Miss Prophet. Those people told me about local. Like Scotty was like, hey, go check out the local brick shop. This may be somewhere good for you to go meet more content creators, more people in the community.
Yeah.
So I have started to do so. And me and local, we became friends as time went on, and I'm also a good customer to local as well. Minifigs, man, minifigs are my thing. He actually was the inaugural person on my podcast. The local brick shop was the first person ever to be on the podcast, and I was very, very, very happy with that because for me, there was the relationship there, but also to have a bigger streamer that was recognizing the podcast and was part of the community as a whole was very important. And it was nice that we're also friends, that helped as well. But someone being a very pillar of the community type person where everybody knows them was very nice.
What's the schedule looking like to get episodes out? Because you're saying you're trying to get more recorded.
Yes.
How's that looking?
Right now we have Prophet DNA and Miss Prophet lined up. Zach and Rutledge.
That's excellent.
So that's who we have lined up so far.
Yeah.
We're working on a few other people. It like we were talking about. It takes time and it takes a lot of moving around things. And it can be, like I said, it can be very complicated.
But that's really cool. Your podcast seems to be growing, and I'm stoked to see the future of it. Brick City Radio, check it out on. It's on all the major podcasts?
So Google and Amazon, TuneIn, Spotify. I'm on all the other major platforms. So that is how you can find me, is pretty much everywhere.
That's a wonderful project that you've been working on. Like you said, it's been a long time coming, getting that put together. What is your ultimate hope for that podcast? Where are you hoping to go with it, and what are you looking, I guess, for a long-term goal for it? Where are you hoping to get to?
So my ultimate goal would be to where people can recognize it and people can be like, hey, I listened to you on the way home. I enjoy listening to all the community members that are involved. I love that people like you invite me to come on and talk. That's something that I would like more of, is having people invite me to co-stream with them or to come on and do things like this, just to get more awareness, but also just involving the community, because I like being involved in a community. I do streaming. The content creating is a full-time gig, guys. It is that I both content create, but I do my part-time work that I do is also part of my content creating, because where I work, she does use me in her reels. I do promote for the store. I do this. This is my living. I am also trying to become more successful at it. So that is a goal. It's not a bad goal. I think that is a important goal for a full-time content creator. Is you do want to be able to support yourself somewhat off of what you're doing. I am on disability because of my mental health. When I mean I work part-time, I do work part-time. It is, only a couple days a week to supplement my income, because being on disability, guys, is very difficult. I just want to point that out, because it is something, part of my content is I'm providing content for you guys, both for my mental health, but to also supplement my support for my family and myself. Because, disability is very limited nowadays. It definitely cannot support even one person anymore. So it is a big part of what I do as well. I just, I have to put that out there in that answer, because it is a where I'm going answer.
Yeah.
I love the community and I love supporting the community. So getting support from the community as a long-term thing is a goal, I guess. That's an honest answer.
Yeah, that's a valid answer too, especially when you're spending the time making the content, right? And like you said, and any content creator, but specifically even full-time ones, like ideally is the hope is that you'll grow. And I think that's a completely valid goal for it. So,
and the amount of time, it is a lot of time, guys, and you know this more.
Yeah,
I put in about 80 hours a week planning and putting things together for you guys, and for listeners, planning podcasts, planning streams. I do like to plan, guys. I don't like to just say, okay, hey, I'm going to go grab this set out of the back and we're going to do this. That's not my jam. I like to plan everything out, but it also, in a financial setting, makes a lot of sense, because I'm like, okay, so it's Star Wars month. I planned, okay, we're going to build Yoda. Crystal's Brick Shop has been lovely enough to let me build the Justifier, which I've got behind me. So, this whole month, a lot of it's going to be Star Wars, and then I bring it to the shop and she sells the ship in the shop. I'm buying the minifigs from her, because that's all I wanted from the ship. But I plan everything, guys. That is the way I do it, both from, like I said, from a financial and a mental standpoint. I need to say, hey, this modular build is going to take me a month to 2 months to build. That allows me to save and plan for the next build and the next coming streams and things like that. Like I said, the Jazz Club is the only modular I have not built on stream. That's the first modular I've ever built by myself. And I wanted to both do that for myself, but also because I'm working on starting my YouTube, I needed to build something a little bit quicker so that I could start planning how I'm going to film it and how I'm going to review it. Also, I light all my buildings, and I needed to have that all done so that I could get more content started.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just the way that goes.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work goes on behind the scenes, especially when it comes to running a Twitch channel, or like you're doing now, a podcast, planning out the next couple weeks or month.
Messaging people, planning when I can stream.
Yeah.
Because I have family members that are here. I do work a couple days. I have pets that I need, as you can see. One of my other cats is over here.
Yeah.
But I have dogs that I need to walk. I have dogs I need to groom, wash, and a house that needs to be kept. I am a regular person, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And content creating takes away from a lot of that.
It does.
And a lot of people don't also understand that. So tonight, it's a Sunday night, guys. I am so glad to be here, but I did have to take my normal Sunday night off from spending time with family, because normally
you for doing that,
after,
by the way.
And they understand, because they are supportive. They understand that this is my thing. This is what I'm trying to do. So when I tell them, like, when I schedule something, I put it on our joint calendar, and I'm like, hey, this is what's going on tonight. Tomorrow night I'm free. We can hang out tomorrow night, which is totally fine. But that's how it works. So I do like to try to keep to a schedule. So like when I change a schedule, so I'm going back to streaming 3 days a week. I haven't quite figured my hours yet. I'm this close. Close. But as of right now, it's looking like it's going to be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday night schedule, because that's just the way that my schedule works nicely to be able to do.
Yeah.
Wednesdays will be a little rough, because Wednesdays I do work on Wednesdays right now, and I will be doing a evening stream, like a late night stream. But I'm off on Thursdays, so it's a little bit easier. It's just finding the time to make sure everything flows nicely when you have family and pets and a house and a yard, and you just have to make sure you have the time all together. Yeah. And because you have family as well.
Yeah.
So you understand where telling your family members, you're like, hey, this is scheduled. This is what's going on. I need this time to be here. And that's the way it is as a content creator.
Yeah, I definitely communicate the schedule, with the wife and the kiddos. And, we try to make plans week to week, and they kind of know, okay, roughly, like, here's the nights that I'll do my podcast, or here's the times I expect to be working on things. And then, I try to stay very communicative with them, because then that way we can still do things while allowing for those moments where I can do a podcast, or if there's a night that the family wants to go do something or hang out with me, we can still achieve that balance. So yeah, it's definitely tough. And then obviously the more that you do, there's this potential for people who don't do content creation, don't always understand, for maybe like they see the final byproduct of like the work, right? They'll either see or hear the podcast, or they'll see the live stream as it's happening, but they don't know about the other time and energy that went into producing that beforehand, whether it's the planning like you're talking about, or even some of the other behind the scenes stuff, whether it's editing the video.
Oh, absolutely. And the editing part. There is many times that I will be like, okay, we can watch TV or a movie or, spend time together, but I need to be also having one earbud in while I'm editing my podcast on my laptop.
Yeah.
Because I need to produce this content, needs to come out. So there are many times that I will sit and watch a movie and be snuggling, while I'm working.
Are there any particular creators, they could be from anywhere, that you really get a lot of inspiration from?
So for content creation, like I said, a lot of it is just me being me. But I do look at a lot of content creators, not necessarily for the inspiration, but more for the inspiration of continuing to create, if that makes sense. So like I said, so Jang was a big person that I watched for years that gave me the inspiration to hit the start button, because I was like, this guy is great. I love watching his content. I love Lego. You know, this drove me to hit a start button. The local brick shop, I have to applaud for what he does, because he is both running a store and streaming and providing that kind of content, which I think is fantastic. That he mashed both things together. I look a lot for him in a sense of he's providing something different to the community, and I like the different because I'm different. He provides a different perspective in the Lego community. He's mostly news. He's bringing us news. You know, Scotty Rotten, I applaud him because he went from a Lego stream to now a mostly talking and chatting stream and music. And I can applaud him for doing that because he's also just being himself, where he realized that building Lego on stream is difficult. And he knows it's difficult for himself, but he's still streaming. He's still doing it. He's just doing his thing. So I applaud him because, again, for me, it is being yourself. Prophet DNA, it would be him and his wife streaming together. I love seeing a couple streaming, and doing that kind of content is so much fun because we get to see a back and forth kind of thing. And I could never get either of my partners to do that. Just people that I watch. You, Panfred Nuda, Zach M. Rutledge, you guys make me want to stream. Seeing you guys continue. You all are so different and you approach it differently. I enjoy the content. Now, I'm going to be honest with you more and more.
Yeah.
I know you do a lot of Lego building because I watch your stream quite a bit. I actually enjoy your crossing the streams the most. That is something that is my favorite part of your content. I'm just being honest, man. I can say about like Panfred Nuda, his energy is a thing that I'm drawn towards. Zach M. Rutledge, he's a loud stream.
Yeah.
And
he is.
And a chaos. His energy is just a lot. I'm on the spectrum. Sometimes I gotta turn him down. I gotta be like, hey, I'm gonna hang, but I'm gonna turn you down. But the amount of community support that he gives to me is amazing. Another person who I don't get to hang out with as much anymore would be Amish Ace. Another person that I spent a lot of time in his stream. I don't have as much time as I used to, and he usually comes on a time when it is family time, and I might throw a lurk, but I don't have time to chat as much anymore. But another good person that does a lot of charity work. He does a lot of charity streams. So I do look at him as future plans for my stream is to do some more charity work. I love doing the Destiny stream we did last year. I believe you were part of that. Were you not? Last year where we played Destiny? Yeah. Where we did the Cancer Foundation for with Destiny with Bungie. And, you know, that was fantastic that Prophet DNA was doing that. I love doing charity work. So as community members, those are the main people that I follow. And if one other person that comes to mind is 36Bricks and Bricks Plates Tiles. Bricks Plate Tiles is my late night go-to because I'm usually up late. And 36Bricks is a like a personal friend of mine who I actually hang out with off stream as well, who if I need some help with a mock, he's my go-to guy. I'll hit him up and be like, hey, I'm having a problem with this modular design that I'm working on. Can I get some help? And he's my go-to dude for that.
That's awesome. That's a wonderful list.
It's a long list, but
there's so many cool people in the community. But yes, there's so many just amazing people in the community. A lot of those same names have also inspired me as well to continue doing what I do. And thank you for the kind words about crossing the streams. I think many people will agree that. Oh yeah,
I was in here last night with your guest
with Britt.
I had you in an ear. I love it. I do.
Thank you. Many would agree with you. I've received the same feedback. The feedback of I love your Lego content, but I really do enjoy crossing the streams the most. So I get it. I understand. So that's actually why I'm kind of doubling down on this sort of content, to be honest with you.
And I love that. I love that for you that you're getting feedback, because feedback, guys, is so important.
Yeah.
Like, I find feedback is super important, and that's something that I've been trying to get from the community as well. I would love more feedback on what I could do better on my podcast, on my content, what can make it better. I need to reach out actually to you too, to get some channel help.
Absolutely.
I know you're one of those people that are able to do channel help. Because I'm not a media professional like you are, or some other people that like Zach M. Rutledge and you guys do things with your streams that I would love to be able to do. I don't know how. I'm not in any way proficient in those kind of things. I am more on the photo side, so if you need help with like a camera,
sure.
I'm good with that. But doing the video clips coming up and getting channel redeems and things like no.
Anytime, man. You let me know. When. Thank you for the kind words. Let me know when you need help. We'll sit down.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll hammer some stuff out. And I like how Zach in the chat put professional in quotation marks.
There he is.
It's true. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. With everything that you see on my stream or on the content that I produce, it's been. I am purely figuring it out as I go. It's been a lot of trial and error, a lot of Google and YouTube searches, or even tapping our friends like Zach and or AZ saying, "Hey, I need your help."
and even for me, being on the spectrum, I don't do well with YouTube and Google, because for me, I need people to give me the play-by-play point of view. It's just how my brain works. And that's been a struggle with me in the photography world as well, where I needed help with something on a camera in the beginning, and when I started using a camera, guys, YouTube was not a thing.
Yeah,
like that was not a thing. I could Google it, but YouTube hadn't come out yet. And it didn't go well. And the cameras have just gotten more advanced, and everything has just gone through the roof in advancement, where I can no longer even keep up with like Photoshop and Lightroom, where I'm editing a photo. It changes weekly sometimes and monthly sometimes. And then my brain's like, okay, well, now I'm lost again, and I've got to figure out how to do this. So sometimes it's just that way.
Yeah. Well, I'm always glad to help if you ever just need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need a call and we could talk about it. I definitely
will.
Medusa in chat says Photoshop is changing all the time. This is true too.
Oh.
And yeah, a lot of our tools that we use are constantly changing. You and I had a conversation about Photoshop the other day.
Yeah.
Talking about background removal and things like that. And
yes, we did.
Yeah, those features get added all the time.
Yeah, and I need to get with you again on that, just to hash out some stuff. But
yeah.
It's crazy because 90% of the time I'm not on a computer anymore either.
True.
A lot of the time I'm on my iPad.
Yeah.
And sometimes my iPad can actually do a better job at getting something done quickly.
Yeah.
Because they've added a setting that, oh, this works better on this, and then you move it over to your computer to do some of the heavier lifting. But sometimes the little things like certain layering things work better with my pen on my iPad than it does on my computer with a mouse and a tablet connected.
Yeah.
It's just the way that they're programming everything. And then some things in Lightroom Mobile are more powerful than Lightroom Classic. It's depending on what you're working on.
Yeah, it's wild. And the tools that we have access to now are just so incredible. I mean, I think AZ was saying this on his stream earlier today, just how he sometimes uses his phone's background removal because it's easier to do on his phone than on the computer. And so
that's what I was talking to someone about that the other day. So I was working on a project on Photoshop and I got it to work on Photoshop, but I'm not sure if it was the right way, and that's what we would talk about later. But my phone, I had tested another program out that I didn't want to have to pay for another program. That's where I ran into. I was like, I don't want to pay another premium. I want to learn what I have and use what I have. But the free program with a watermark, of course, within 30 seconds had what took me an hour to figure out on Photoshop to get correct, did in 30 seconds. Like the machine was like, oh, hey, this is easy. I just, boop, all done. And I was like, and the question that always comes to my mind is, okay, if my computer, Photoshop, can't have a button that I click and it does this job the same way, like why can't Photoshop do that? Like why can't I just click remove background and it perfectly seamlessly automatically removes it? Like it doesn't always work that way, guys. Like let me tell you, they have a function that you hit select background and it brings everything out, but let me tell you, it does not necessarily pick up on everything. Like you sometimes you have to go in and layer and erase with the pen and get that layer the opacity, being able to see everything and erase that layer. Sometimes you have to do that, guys. But this program on my phone
does just
snap. It was like I got this. But then you run into something that I don't like is then you run into a quality problem. I shoot high res images. The phone program cannot do high res. I could not print what I had just edited. It would not be print quality. Like I wouldn't go in and get it professionally printed. It wouldn't be as good of quality as an edit from Photoshop, which is obviously what Photoshop is for, is to get the high quality image.
Tools are crazy, man. Like the fact that some can do particular tasks better than others, and like you said, like sometimes it's a mobile app that does better than potentially a desktop app, and then it makes things so complicated. That's a big part of what we do as creators, is we end up trying to find the right tool to accomplish some of these random tasks that we need to do. And, for those that don't know, there is a lot of, the obvious thing is the video editing, but there's also often a lot of graphic design work that we do as creators, a lot of
which is something
Photoshop.
that I want to learn how to do.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much. That's the thing about being a digital creator or content creator, like whether it's a streamer or a YouTuber or a TikToker. It's like there's you see what we do on those platforms, but often we're doing things in Photoshop or some kind of video editing suite like Premiere or DaVinci. There's just so much that goes into it. Or even, all the promotional, you and I were talking about the promotional images that I was making for Crossing the Streams. And you said something that made me actually laugh, like literally laugh out loud, was like, how'd you do that so quick? And I'm just like, I've had some practice. I've made a bunch of these, but it's getting familiar with the tools like Photoshop or like Canva or any of the other things that we as creators use. And for those that don't have insight into that, especially when you get into like the nuance of like making images or overlays or editing video, we end up having to learn so many different tools and programs that,
and it's just it's crazy. I a lot of it is learning so many programs, learning different equipment. I had to learn lighting differently than I would for my photography, because lighting for live video is very different than lighting for taking like photography photos. It is completely different. I don't have the same setup that I would for taking an image. I have learned what different cables do for different things. Learning that USB cables run at different speeds.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I had no idea. When I bought my Elgato camera, I was like, okay, so this will be fine running through this, right? No.
You need the right cable.
Of course not.
You need the right port.
Cable,
the
right port. You need the right speed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, right speed? What do you mean? And the guy told me, he was like, so what speed are you using? And I was like, well, it's a USB 2.0. And they're like, you can't use that.
Yeah.
You have to use a higher, I think it's the 3.0. The higher end USB hub, maybe it is 2.0.
Right. Some devices, require different USB.
The higher USB rate. And so I was wondering why my camera was flickering.
Yeah.
And that's what I was told. I was like, okay, so I tried that. Lo and behold, the USB-C adapter I was using was not the correct speed adapter for the camera. So it was glitching.
Yeah.
As I was telling more and more before we came on, I had no idea that there were different speeds for Ethernet cables, nor different speeds for Ethernet cable adapters going into the computer.
Yep.
I had no idea. So I spent an hour at Best Buy yesterday.
Yeah. It's the whole thing.
Because I had questions. I was like, okay, so I have a gigabyte of fiber coming in my house, which I had to learn, which is something I had to learn when I was streaming, because we got the fiber installed because I started streaming and my husband started getting back into heavy gaming. But when the guy came out to install, he was like, okay, well, you do know that you need a different router. You need a different adapter for your router. Yeah. And you need a hub, like a massive thing that is meant for servers. Like it is this big, guys. It is big. It takes up the entire desk that's in there. and the wireless router sits next to it because it can't go on top of it, because if you stick it on top of it, it doesn't work. That's the way that it works. And then there's another little box that sits on the edge of it that the fiber goes into, that converts it into the USB, or not the USB, the Ethernet that can output to everything else.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought you could just connect to the box and everything would be dandy.
No.
No.
It gets complicated. It gets the equipment. Sometimes particular setups just require a lot. Yeah.
And so I got very overwhelmed when I started streaming, and as of late, when I started upgrading, it got more complicated, because I had no idea that if I got anything lower than what I'm using my Ethernet cable, like I was saying, was that Cat 6. They said if I had gotten a Cat 5, it wouldn't work with my fiber.
Yeah. You'd get much slower speeds.
Yes, exactly.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Man, we do a lot, huh? We do a lot as creators, don't we? There's just so much that it takes. So, yeah.
And I, like I said, I applaud all the content creators, because we do so much work to provide for community and for the people that are our I call them content eaters. The people that like to watch our content and like to watch content. My partners would be those type of people where they don't usually get off their phones. It is usually a scroll, or I need to eat as much content as I possibly can get.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I get the support from home, is, they understand, because they consume
that sort of thing as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Understandable.
Exactly. Now, is that the same? Is that the same with like your family? Are they consumers? Would you say they're content consumers?
Not to the level that I think most people are. My wife tends to. I mean, she watches particular YouTube channels that she likes about her different hobbies, but she's not. I wouldn't consider her someone who consumes at the level that most of us do, or people in our particular lives. But she kind of, I've been doing this pretty diligently over the last 5 to 6 years. And so it took her some time to kind of understand what it meant. But I think as time has gone on, she understands the amount of work that it requires. And so the short answer is no, she doesn't consume media the way that we do, but she knows just by having talked to me a lot about it, because I generally share, I'm like, oh, I'm going to work on this video, I'm going to edit it, or I have a podcast that I'm going to record with someone. Over the years, she's kind of gotten a feel for the amount of work that we do. And I mean, like I said, she does have some YouTube channels that she likes to follow. So she kind of understands the fact that, oh, this person puts out a video on a regular basis. It's like however long it is. They also do YouTube shorts. There's TikTok. She gets it. She doesn't consume it. She's very, actually, she loves technology, but she's super actively not as into it, because she knows how much of a time suck it can be. And and she's like, I want to just enjoy, all the other things in life, but she gets it. So it's taken years though. It's taken years to get her to that point. Absolutely. Man, this has been a wonderful conversation, Puck.
I am so glad that you invited me here today. I was waiting, man. I was waiting. I was hoping. I was like, I would love to get on with more and more, and hang out with him, because I have been watching you since I met the community,
Mm.
and it was one of those things where me and you have had interaction mostly via, I think, Prophet DNA. I think that's where most of our interaction happened.
Yeah.
And so with that, it is nice to finally actually sit and conversate one-on-one kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do it more. Like you said,
absolutely.
I'll definitely get with you because I have some ideas.
Absolutely. You just all you need to do is just let me know and ask, and I would be glad to do it. I get it, and this is the first time we've really gotten to interact one-on-one, and I thought it was great. It was awesome I mean, I know we could continue to go on, but I think we're getting to that point where I do think that we're hitting towards the end of the episode. So what I would like to do is kind of find out, now that we kind of know where you're wanting to go and what inspires you. What is something, if anything, that you might have done differently if you were to have another, like, if you were to start fresh, if you were maybe Puck from before, what would you tell Puck to do going into their content creation career? What kind of tips would you give yourself if you had that opportunity?
More research. Absolutely more research into what all it entails, because I didn't know what streaming and content creating entailed. I didn't know how much work it was.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to have known that so that I could plan better. I'm getting better, but I should have planned better from the beginning. Also, making sure that you have what you need to be a content creator. I understand that everybody is at different financial levels, but the way that I've looked at it from my point of view is I would have liked to have had most of everything that I needed from the beginning. Having the lights that I need, having the cameras that I need. I went from basically literally streaming on my husband's computer with his webcam, and there were times that I couldn't do that and I had to stream on my phone, and I was streaming from behind my phone reading chat while you guys were watching via my phone.
Oh my gosh.
There were those times. I would have liked to have been set up better where I'm at now, where I have a desk now that is just my desk where I build, and it's not my city table anymore or my Lego work table anymore. Yeah. So that's important, because now I can sit here and work on work on the podcast, work on Lego, work on chat, related chatbot stuff, setup and things like that is now there. I would have told myself, well, maybe, yes, you want to start streaming, but maybe wait until you have the setup to do it. Because let me tell you guys, the wires that I'm looking at right now, let me tell you, moving all that around multiple times and resetting that up is a pain. I never want to have to, I rarely touch my laptop anymore from where it's sitting until I get my PC built, which I'm working on. That has been a long-term goal, and I'm finally at a point where I'm able to get to that goal. My laptop will stay where it is, but once the PC happens, it will go in the corner and stay there. Because it's a pain to move everything, guys. It really is.
Yeah.
But that's what I would tell myself is prep. Is the prep.
Research, prep. Learn what you need. Understandable. Wonderful stuff. It's funny because there's kind of this I think there's this spectrum of thoughts on that particular subject of what do you do when you get started. And Asian Sensation, who was on last week, he was he's funny because his thoughts were a little little bit opposite of yours in that he's of the mind that he's like, start with whatever crappy stuff you got, because you'll really appreciate what you get when you start to upgrade. But I can see both sides of that thought, because I personally started with a PC. I was lucky enough to have a PC, but it was as bare minimum I think as you could have gotten to do that, and it would overheat if I played like some of the newer games while trying to stream. And so I get it. I completely get it. It's tough. It's one of those things where you'll never really know exactly what you need when you start, but definitely if you got the ability to go with some of the equipment that will make your life easier, for sure. I think it's always tough when you don't know how much you're like into it too, right?
Of course.
Yeah, it's always it's interesting.
But what I found because I did have that mindset, I originally started with, okay, well, I'm going to use what I've got, and that's where I was. So what ended up happening is, okay, so my husband gave me his camera, his older Logitech. Well, it started going on me.
Oh no!
Like it was like I can't handle this anymore. Like I'm 7 years old and I can't do this I'm going.
It's time to go.
Then my iMac that I had, which didn't have enough RAM to do what I was asking it to do. I still have it, and it's used for other uses now, but it can't run OBS anymore. It's like no. This is not happening because it can't. It's like no. I don't have the juice left in me to run you any longer.
Yeah.
So I do get where he was coming from, and use what you have. Absolutely. If that is how you want to proceed. But in my experience, when I went that route, I had
things died.
I had a lot of stuff die on me.
Oh man.
That then prevented me from doing what I wanted to do anyways.
Yeah.
So people started telling me, hey, you should get a mic, because I wasn't using a mic, guys. I was using my mic on the camera.
Oh yeah.
And then that stopped.
Yeah.
That stopped like 2 months in. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have a mic, so I can't stream.
Yeah.
So then I went and got a mic, and I was like, oh, okay, this is so much better.
The things we learn, right? The things we find out as we go through this content creation journey.
Yes, it's a journey for sure.
Puck, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you
again for having me.
Of course, it was an absolute pleasure to get to know you, see what you're about, and understanding where you're headed. And I mean, I see a bright future for all the things that you're doing. For those of you that don't yet follow Puck right now, as of this recording, it's PuckboysBricks, but it will be changing soon, right?
Yes, it will be. It will be.
And we can update everyone later, or do you want to talk about what the name will be?
So it's going to be Shipwreck Bricks. So if you follow me on Instagram or any of my other media sources, it's Shipwreck Bricks. I can type it into chat if you'd like.
Sure.
Shipwreck Bricks. So it's going to be this. So Shipwreck Bricks. Mainly because I'm from South Florida originally. So if you guys follow the Tuesday Ray Train and you guys know Sapience, yes, I am definitely a Florida man. I did some crazy things back in my day. But my whole city theme is a peninsula, Florida, islandy, tropical theme that I'm going to be going for. So I thought, why not do something with ships and wrecks and that kind of theme? So that's where that came from. And I will always be Puck or Puck Boy because that is going to be my nickname, and that is my sig fig character. His name is Puck, so that is how that goes. So it like I was saying at the beginning of stream, it's Shipwreck Bricks brought to you by Puck Boy.
There we go.
That's how that's gonna go.
Excellent. So we'll have Shipwreck Bricks in the very near future. You also have
very near future.
You also have your podcast, Brick City Radio, which is I'll have links in the notes of this show.
Awesome.
But excellent, where you create podcast content talking about Lego with some special guests. If you're on the Twitch brick building community, you will know quite a few of those guests. And so
yes, and my co-host Becca Bubbles, big shout out to her.
But yeah, you all should check out Puck and Becca's content. Thank you again, Puck. It's been awesome hanging out with you. You guys should check out Puck's Twitch channel, podcast, Instagram. He's everywhere. Check out the content. As is customary, I would love for you to close out the episode. So I will give the floor to you to close it out and leave us listeners and watchers with whatever final words or message that you would like to impart. So the floor is yours, Puck.
Well, thank you so much again, more for having me on. I appreciate it, and I hope we get to hang out some more. Just either a co-stream or just in general. I would like to get to know you more. Thanks so much for the community. Like, really, guys. Without you guys, I would not be here because it doesn't work. Content creating does not work without community. That's just how it goes. I want to thank everybody that supported me in the beginning, both all the community members, my family, everybody that believed in me. And go build some Lego, guys. It doesn't matter if it's a little micro build or a large scale build. Enjoy it. Enjoy what you enjoy, your hobbies, if it is Lego or if it's not Lego, but whatever you like to do is so good for your mental health. I'm a big supporter of mental health awareness. So that is something I would like to impart on everybody. Go and make sure that you're in check with yourself. That is very, very important. And give your fellow content creators a check out. Go check everybody out. That you may meet a lifelong friend. You may meet a community member that you've not met before. I have met some people that I'm so thankful for that I have met because they are lifelong friends. And you may not believe that the internet can be that way, but let me tell you, it can. You can meet people that you talk to every day. And like Becca Bubbles and Scotty Rotten, I talk to them pretty much every day, like in some fashion. They are, like, I would say they're lifelong friends that I do chat with outside of the Twitch world. We chat regularly. So that's where I would like to leave everybody.